Ladies and gentlemen, I think the ministers are going to come into the hall. Could I request Excellencies to take their seats?
Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished leaders and delegates, representatives of the media, ladies and gentlemen. I extend a very warm welcome to all of you to the 12th Council of Ministers meeting of the Indian Ocean Rim Association for Regional Cooperation at Gurgaon. The city of Gurgaon is rightfully called the industrial and financial powerhouse of the state of Haryana, and its vitality and dynamism perfectly complement those of India's capital, New Delhi. I do hope that you are all comfortable and have had an opportunity for some rest after your arrival. This is the second and the last meeting of the Council of Ministers under India's current chairmanship of our association. Over the last year, since we assumed the chair at Bengaluru last November, India has worked closely with her IOR-ARC partners to further deepen and consolidate our cooperation in pursuit of our shared objectives. We have taken our agenda forward, and a number of activities have been successfully concluded in each of the 6 priority areas identified for IOR-ARC at Bengaluru, namely maritime security and safety, disaster risk reduction, trade and investment facilitation, fisheries management, academic and science and technology cooperation, and tourism and cultural exchanges. It gives me pleasure to report that several programs were undertaken under these priority areas. These include a professional course for diplomats from IOR-ARC countries, a workshop on coastal zone management, a meeting of heads of national archives of our countries, a mobile exhibition of archival documents from IOR-ARC countries, and a separate IOR-ARC segment in the forthcoming International Film Festival of India in Goa this month. The first meeting of the core group on cultural cooperation, the 13th meeting of the Working Group of Heads of Mission, and a meeting to finalize the draft constitution of the University Mobility in the Indian Ocean region were held in South Africa earlier this year. The Regional Center for Science and Technology transfer hosted a number of useful programs to further our cooperation in the arena of science and technology. The IOR-ARC report on trade and investment, prepared by the Indian think tank Research and Information Systems for Developing Countries, RIS, was released, followed by two very useful workshops on trade facilitation and customs harmonization and on trade policy held in India and Australia earlier this year. The active participation by member countries in all these programs is a reaffirmation of our collective commitment to our association. These initiatives have helped further consolidation of the cooperative agenda. A mid-term meeting of the Committee of Senior Officials was held in Mauritius in May this year under India's chairmanship to take stock of the progress of our cooperation. India has made the payment of $1 million towards the special fund as was committed by us at Bengaluru in November 2011. These are a few highlights of the activities over the last 1 year. The Secretary General and the Chairman of the Committee of Senior Officials would provide details later in the day. India, as the Chair, is committed to maintain the momentum gained by our association during the last 1 year in pursuit of our aim to deliver tangible benefits to the peoples of the IOR region. Excellencies, before I proceed further, I would like to place on record our appreciation for our officials, business chambers and academics, as well as the IOR-ARC Secretariat for the hard work they have put in to prepare for our meeting today. With these words, I have the honor to declare open the 12th Council of Ministers meeting, and I request the Secretary General to make his opening remarks.
Thank you, Excellency. Honorable Mr. Salman Khurshid, Minister for External Affairs, Government of India, and Chair of Indian Ocean Rim Association for Regional Cooperation, Honorable Mr. Richard Marles, Parliamentary Secretary, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Government of Australia, and Vice Chair, Honorable Ministers and Heads of Delegations, Excellencies and distinguished delegates. It is indeed an immense honor for me to be present here this morning at this, the 12th meeting of the Council of Ministers of the IOR-ARC, and the second being hosted by the Chair. Let me, in the first instance, congratulate His Excellency Mr. Salman Khurshid, the new Union Minister of External Affairs of the Government of India, for having assumed the responsibility of his calling. Your Excellency, it is more than a coincidence that has bestowed upon us the privilege of your chairmanship of this conference. The meeting of the Council of Ministers held in Bengaluru in November 2011, in which member states sought to reinvigorate the IOR-ARC with a reprioritized agenda, gave a focused direction towards formulation of a dynamic roadmap of cooperation in consonance with the growing global emphasis on the unique geostrategic primacy of the Indian Ocean Rim. The realization that security and stability in this region were important factors for peace and prosperity within and beyond this region resulted in the new initiatives for IOR-ARC, in addition to critically important projects of cooperation in the prioritized sectors. Honorable Ministers and Excellencies, a year down that road, we now stand on the threshold of the IOR-ARC coming of age. 15 perhaps does not easily lend itself to a celebratory nomenclature, but it gives the opportunity for this distinguished gathering present here today to set in motion a pragmatic and practical template for regional cooperation which addresses the existing challenges and harnesses the tremendous potential for partnership between states comprising this youthful Indian Ocean grouping. These are difficult times when there is ferment in regions that have been our traditional economic partners. Pragmatism and innovation will be needed to adapt ourselves to the new realities in order to work towards realizing the holistic vision of development of the RIM envisaged a year ago. It is, however, evident that the IOR-ARC is moving from strength to strength. Not only are countries within the RIM seeking membership, but nations beyond it too desire partnership. As we grow in numbers, let us grasp the positives and simultaneously move forward and expand in accordance with the charter of the organization. Let our legacy be the protection and development of our inheritance. Honorable Ministers and Excellencies, let us remind ourselves that it was during the historic visit of Nelson Mandela to New Delhi in January 1995 that the idea of institutionalizing regionalism in the Indian Ocean with special focus on economic integration was first enunciated. Let us pledge to redeem that simple vision that promises a future free from want for all peoples of the Indian Ocean Rim. The IOR-ARC Secretariat, based in Mauritius, looks forward to working with all member states and dialogue partners to achieve that objective. Thank you very much, Excellencies.
I thank the Secretary General for his remarks. I now invite my colleague, Mr. Sudhir Vyas, Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs, to brief us on the arrangements for our meeting today.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the floor. The program of today's Council of Ministers meeting has been divided into two open sessions and a closed session. I would like to reiterate our request to Their Excellencies, heads of delegations, that speaking time for statements may kindly be restricted to a maximum of 5 minutes. In case the statement is longer, we would be happy to circulate the full text as a written document with a briefer version delivered from the floor. The Council meets this morning in open session for the general debate, at which the distinguished leaders, members of the Council, would be making their opening statements, followed by the heads of delegations of our dialogue partners and observers. We would then break for lunch, hosted by the Chairperson of the Council, the External Affairs Minister of India, after which the Council of Ministers will reconvene in closed session to continue consideration of its agenda. The concluding session this afternoon will again be an open session to adopt the Gurgaon communique. The lunch will be hosted by the External Affairs Minister of India in Restaurant 361 in this hotel itself for the Honourable Ministers and heads of delegations of the Council of Ministers and Committee of Senior Officials meetings. The lunch is by invitation. Other delegation members are most cordially invited to the ballroom for a buffet lunch. I would be happy to answer any questions the delegates may have regarding these arrangements. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Secretary Sudhir Vyas. Excellencies, the Secretariat has prepared a draft agenda for today's meeting, which is placed before you. Unless any delegation has any suggestions to make, I take it that the draft agenda is acceptable and can be adopted. I see no comments. We take it that the agenda is adopted. Excellencies, we now need to appoint a rapporteur for our meeting. Would any honourable member like to volunteer for this very responsible position? I recognize my colleague from Kenya, His Excellency Professor Ambassador Samson Ongeri. I take it that I have your agreement to appoint our colleague from Kenya as rapporteur for our meeting.
Yes, we have agreed to be the friend of the rapporteur, South Africa.
Thank you. We'll just we'll come to that. That's very nice. And it's our practice to appoint friends, as our honourable colleague said. Would, in addition, anyone else would volunteer to be a friend? Thank you very much. I recognize my colleagues from Yemen, and we have an offer. Thank you from His Excellency, Deputy Minister, South Africa. If there's no further suggestion, we may appoint our colleagues from Yemen and South Africa as friends of the rapporteur. Thank you. Thank you very much, Excellencies. Excellencies, it's my pleasure to inform you that the Union of Comoros has approached us with an application to join our association as its 20th member. The matter is listed as item number 9 in our agenda today. I request your agreement to move this important item forward and consider it at this stage itself. If we are in agreement, then we can. We'll be going there. Okay. The application by the Union of Comoros for membership of IOR-ARC has been examined by the Committee of Senior Officials. The Union of Comoros is an important stakeholder in the affairs of the Indian Ocean and fully meets the requirements for membership as per our charter. I am delighted to say that we all are unanimous in accepting the Union of Comoros as the 20th member of our association. I recognize His Excellency the Foreign Minister of the Union of Comoros, Mr. Mohammed Bakri bin Abdullah Fattah Sharif, in our midst, on our invitation as a special guest of the Chair. On behalf of all of us, and on my own behalf, I extend a very warm welcome to you, Excellency, and your country, the Union of Comoros, as it joins the IOR-ARC family. I invite you to sign the instrument of acceptance that has been placed on the table before us to complete the prescribed formalities for membership. Following this ceremony, we will take a brief coffee break and then reconvene for the general debate.